So you want to know about Native Americans and our favorite plant. So I'll read to you from this history, and then I will end with 3 smoking mixtures from Native American people. I'm Lex Pelger. I do Canna Education for CV Sciences, the makers of these excellent plus CBD products. On the cannabinoids, ask me anything. So the first thing to know is that there's a lot of confusion among the early literature because there is a so-called Indian hemp with the Latin name Apocyinum cannabinum, and it was often confused with the European hemp that we know as cannabis that comes from Central Asia. So a lot of the early literature gets confused. I will also end with a picture of the sources in this book so you can see where Rash was getting his facts from. But I think a lot of it was also just talking to native people. I think Rash was a pretty cool guy. So, he says, of all the plants introduced from Europe, the Native Americans were especially interested in hemp. Some members of the Lakota, Blackfoot, and Cherokee have told me that hemp was one of the only good things that the white man brought with him. There's also an Indian doctor book compiled by a Minnie Susan Decker with a number of native recipes. And of hemp, she says, this plant is good for things other than merely making rope. Soaked and softened, the seeds are very good against wind in the stomach. They open the blockage of the gall. They are good against the flows, and they are very good for killing worms in men and beasts. The juice, when dripped into the ear, kills the worms in there and dispels the earwigs. A decoction of the root is good for inflammation in the head or other areas, gout, joint, or hip pain, and muscular atrophy. That speaks some very old uses, the anti-parasite uses, as well as the use of the roots, 2 things that aren't pursued enough by modern-day science. And as you probably know, smoking herbs is a common Native American practice, and often using different plants like the stimulating lobelia leaves, the hallucinogenic thornapple leaves, and then the narcotic farmer's tobacco, Nicotiana rustica. And there are some who claim or speculate that the great visionaries of the Dakota, such as Sitting Bull and Black Elk, stuffed hemp into their sacred pipes in order to increase the intensity of their visions. No one's sure that that's true, but it is sometimes said. But, as Rash says, I've been told many times that under no circumstances was a plant allowed to be smoked during the sun dance, the most important ceremony in the lives of the Plains people. Among the Iroquois, they adopt the name marijuana for cannabis sativa, and they regard the herb as a stimulating agent and a psychological aid. Hemp is used after a sick person has gotten well, but does not believe that they have recovered. It is said that this plant will get you going. Good description. Some healers among the Dakota use hemp as a medicine. It is usually mixed with other herbs and smoked for asthma and bronchitis, another common thing that you hear in history. Among the Lakota, hemp is known as peji. This term is a play on the Lakota name for the psychedelic peyote cactus, which they refer to simply as pejuta, or medicine. Hemp also made its way into a number of Central American Indian cultures. The Cora Indians of Mexico, who live in the Sierra Madre Occidental and are related to the Huichol, smoke hemp at their most sacred ceremonies and communal rituals. Among the neighboring Tepehuan Indians, whose ancestry can be traced back to this pre-Spanish Totonacan, the plant has acquired the name of a true plant of the gods. The flowers are called Santa Rosa and are consumed by the community in syncretic rituals that combine pre-Spanish, Indian, colonial, and Catholic elements in order to obtain the mystic visions of the divine Mother Earth. During these rituals, it is not uncommon for the participants to speak in tongues, glossolalia. The words that are spoken while under the influence of hemp have a divinatory character and show people the proper way to live. The Tepehuan venerate hemp as something very precious. They use it only in rituals and warn against misusing it outside of the ceremonies. The Laca-Andan of Chiapas, Mexico, who are related to the ancient Maya, became acquainted with hemp only a few years ago. They called it Huntulcuts, or another tobacco. But they use the plant almost exclusively as a medicine, usually in the form of an alcohol extract to treat strains, muscle pains, and rheumatic ailments. The Kuna Indians, who live on the San Blas Islands of Panama, venerate hemp as a sacred plant. It is communally smoked from pipes during meetings of their council. And then finally from the Amazon region, Don Augustin, who is a well-known medicine person, also uses cannabis, which is planted as a cultigen in the Amazon region, and as a spiritual medicine in other ways. In a ritual setting, large amounts are smoked from a pipe, with each participant taking a total of 9 deep puffs. The Peruvian cannabis is very potent and can even induce visionary experiences. And then finally, I will end with the smoking recipes. These are from different healers in South Dakota. And I suspect Christian Rash got them directly from these healers. Smoking mixture number 1 is 1 part bearberry leaves, 1 part white sage leaves, and 1 part female hemp flowers. Another smoking mixture is 1 part silky dogwood bark, 1 part sweetgrass, 1 part prairie sage, otherwise known as western mugwort, and 1 part cannabis leaves. And finally, the third mixture is 1 part prairie sage, western mugwort, 1 part thornapple leaves, which could be a potent, that is technically a deliriant, and 1 part female cannabis flowers. These smoking mixtures are especially recommended by some medicine people for use in treating asthma, bronchitis, and other diseases of the respiratory tract.